latest episode of the Good Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. Right, okay. Firstly, just a quick comment before we crack on with this evening's tasting. I noticed on one of my early episodes of the show, a couple of people had left comments, and that comment was, who is, or who are, I should say, the Axis of Evil? Well, I suppose I could go into sort of like detail about who, or the distilleries that I believe make up my so-called Axis of Evil, but I thought, why not do a tasting of them? I'm not going to do it this evening because I've got another one already planned, but keep watching the show, and the next episode of the show we'll have a chat about the Axis of Evil, so keep tuned in for that. Probably upset a few people, I imagine, but well, you know, that's the way it has tendency to go. Anyway, this evening's tasting, as some of you may or may not know, last Thursday I was asked to take part in a Twitter tasting. Best I've ever used Twitter in actual fact, but you know, it was it was fun. It was really good. And we tasted these 4 bottlings here. I deliberately kept a little bit back because I thought, yeah, this is going to make a good episode of the show, another current and up to date episode. So the samples were kindly sent by Berry Brothers and Rudd, and organised by the chap called Steve, or otherwise known as the Whisky Wire on Twitter, if you follow Twitter. And there was a number of us that took part in that particular tasting, and it was really interesting. I think there was a relative consensus as to which whiskies on the evening, should we say, showed the best. And there was a lot of interesting comments made, and hopefully I'll be asked to do it again. So what have we got? Let's take a look at the lineup then, shall we? Right, these are all single cask bottlings, all relatively new, bottled this year. We're going to start off with Little Mill, distilled in 1992, bottled in 2012, making it 20 years old. Bottled at 54.6, and the cask number is cask number 9. The next bottling is of a grain whisky, north of Scotland, 1973, bottled 2012, making that 39 years old. Cask 14570, bottled at 46%. Then we have this one, which is Jura, as you can see from the colour, obviously a sherry butt, distilled in 1976, bottled this year again. Cask reference is BBR 888, and it's bottled at 53.5%. And finally, we have Bunnahabhain, distilled in 1989, again bottled this year, bottled at 46%. Cask reference 5755. I believe this was possibly one of the oldest whiskies that Berry Brothers have done, apart from obviously, well, they may well have done some older ones, but I think that was the oldest. I could be wrong. I may well get pulled up on that one. We'll taste them in the order that we tasted them on the evening. I mean, some bright spark suggested starting with the Norfolk British. I mean, who starts with a grain whisky? I mean, you know it's going to be big and oaky, and you'd start with the lowland first. Anyway, so let's see what we come up with then, shall we? Right. Okay. Let's start with the Little Mill. As you well probably know, Little Mill is no longer in production. It's a pleasant lowland. Never seen it at this age, it has to be said. Well, I don't think I have anyway. Normally, or used to be able to sort of see it, certainly when it was distillery bottling, it's sort of 8 years old, and it was, it was a pleasant lowland, bit marshmallowy. Certainly wouldn't have put it down to sort of, age to 20 odd years old, although, you know, when you think about it, you know, you've got St Magdalen, you've got Rosebank, you know, and Blackknock as well, which have bottled spirit at that sort of age, and, you know, goes to show that although they may be fairly light in body, they certainly do age well. But anyway, let's see what the nose gives us. Quite a bit of oak, sort of a bit slightly burnt caramelly, bit of citrus, getting some nice kind of grassy notes. It's got a little bit of maturity, as you would expect, obviously, but certainly it's quite heavy on the oak. I suppose that's to be expected, as the spirit is quite light. But it's got a nice sort of citrusy note to it. A little bit of spice, a little bit of cinnamon. There's a bit of spirit character, shall we say. It comes through with a bit of sort of juniper, and certainly I think it's starting to, well, I wouldn't say creak, but it's definitely. I wouldn't have wanted to sort of let this cask go any further. I think it would have started to become a lot more disconnected. You get the feeling that the spirit is starting to sort of move away from the oak, and I think, you know, give this another sort of year or two, and certainly there would have been a real big disconnect between the two elements. So, but you know, I think it's pleasant. Yeah, it's a nice nose. So, palate there. Very dry, a lot of alcohol. Picking up some woody notes. A lot of creamy oak, caramel, vanilla. It's got a nice length though. Certainly a little bit of spice, and then picking up some of those expected kind of grassy notes towards the finish. But God, that's got some alcohol. I mean, what was that? 54.6. I mean, and it really dries everything out. You know, it's like mouth puckeringly so, but you know, pleasant, you know, a nice starter. So let's put a little drop of water with it and see what happens. That's not doing it any favours whatsoever, I'm afraid. Really flattens it. If I'm honest, it's a little on the cardboardy side, and I think it's just basically showing that it is getting a bit old. Oak is certainly still there. Lovely creaminess to it, really creamy, very clean. But it has got that sort of, like I said, it's got a little bit cardboardy, a little bit Hessian, a little bit of bung cloth possibly, and yeah, I just think this is getting a little bit old. But you know, let's see what the palate does now. Yeah, again, it's a bit flat, a little bit cardboardy. A little bit vapid now, I guess. It's all kind of just gone a bit. Maybe there's a little bit more spice now, a little bit of coffee. Don't really get any real character from the spirit. There's no sort of grassiness. There's no sort of fruit. There's no fleshiness. It's all a little bit old, shall we say? But you know, pleasant. It's not dead by any stretch of the imagination. I forget what the retail price on that was, but it's not the greatest little mill I've tasted, shall we say. Right, okay, let's have a look at the north of Scotland. As you know, love my grain whiskies, so let's see if this is up to the task then, shall we? Quite light, lots of sort of rummy dried fruits. little bit spirity, little bit sort of, you know, agricole, sort of spirity, not vegetal, but sort of maybe a little bit, you know, in that kind of agricole kind of style. Some nice peppery spice. Not hugely oaked in actual fact. The oak is all kind of sort of sitting in the background, all very well behaved. Quite light. Certainly it's quite elegant in actual fact. I mean, I think somebody did mention that all grain whisky is quite light in body, but to the point was that I had to mention the fact that on one occasion I tasted a seriously robust Invergordon or two. So not necessarily the case, but it's attractive, it's pleasant. I like the nose, like I said, it's certainly in a rum style, should we say. Right, okay, let's do the part then. That's nice. Elegant, soft. Again, not too much oak. You get a little bit of vanilla up front, and then you get these slightly rummy dried fruits, a little bit of agricole note, some peppery spice now, certainly on the finish. Yeah, it's not a huge oak monster. The oak, I think, is all very well behaved. You know, kind of sort of sitting behind things and kind of just sort of giving some structure to it. A little bit of coffee maybe on the finish, a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of chocolate. But all told, I think that's quite nice. It's okay. It's not the most complex of grain whiskies that I've ever come across, but I think, you know, it's not bad. It's pleasant. Right, let's have a look at the Jura. Okay, so as we can see, it's definitely from a sherry butt, probably first fill, judging by the look of it. I think you can basically guess that there ain't going to be a great deal of distillery character in this, so a lot of it will be down to you know, how clean the oak is. It's how old is it? 36 years old. So we're expecting, you know, quite a bit of oxidisation character, and anyway, let's see, shall we? Yep, it's a nice clean sherry cask for a start. Quite light, quite herbal, bit of citrus, quite a bit of salt, stewed fruit, a little bit of burnt wood possibly, little waft of smoke. I must say, not a huge amount of distillery character, but you know, we weren't expecting anything given the fact that Jura doesn't really have a great deal of distillery character. A little bit of orange. It's nice. It certainly has some maturity. I don't think I would have picked it for being sort of 36. Maybe I'd have said it was probably late 20s, but yeah, that's clean. That's good. If you like the sherry cask, I think that's certainly you know, a really enjoyable dram. So let's try and help then. Oh, very woody, real burnt coffee finish. Oh, that's pretty intense. Leafy, herbal, a lot of oloroso. The sort of combination of the wood tannins and the alcohol certainly dry it all out, and add in a little bit of salt as well, and oh, you've got a dry mouthful. A little bit of bitter chocolate on the finish, like I said. A lot of coffee, some dried fruit. Again, Really, really clean, spot on cask selection, it has to be said. Again, not a huge amount of distillery character. A little bit of that burnt wood now on the aftertaste. Certainly sort of charcoaly a little bit of coal maybe. But yeah, that's nice. Let's put a little drop of water with that and see what we get. See if the dilution will bring out anything else. Well, it really pushes the sherry character to the back. I'm actually getting some sort of slightly summer fruits, apricot. Actually getting some distillery character coming through now, which is quite surprised really. Yeah, that's really nice. That's very fruity. Seems an awful lot younger now. Certainly now, once you've got rid of that sort of big, lumbering, heavy sherry character, it's certainly showing some nice fruit. Still a little bit of dried fruit, a little bit of grape, raisin, and a little bit of chocolate still, but yeah, I think that's very enjoyable. Oilier, woodier. Well, not in a tannic kind of way, but in a wood way. Just feel like I've just licked the inside of a cask. Bitter chocolate, sort of 90% cocoa, dark coffee. Yeah, it's just it's really nice. It's still fairly drying, although the drying is now more to do with the oak than it obviously is to do with the alcohol. A little bit of vanilla, a little bit of fruit character. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's quite enjoyable, I think. Right, finally the Bunnahabhain then. So this is distilled in 1989 and bottled this year, 23 years old. Obviously not the oldest one they've bottled, considering the Jura was 36, so I kind of got that one wrong. Incidentally, I think that that bottling of Jura, the retail price was somewhere in the region of 200 quid, if memory serves me correct, which, although it's nice, is a little bit on the steep side, personally, but you know, I think if you love good old cherry cask whiskies, yeah, that's fair enough, but personally I just think that was a little bit steep. But anyway, let's look at the Bunnahabhain then, shall we? That's fruity. That's a lovely Bunnahabhain. Slightly sawdusty oak, apricots, citrus, lightly oiled, a little bit of salt, touch of salinity, bit of white chocolate as well. Yeah, that's lovely. Really exuberantly fruity, almost kind of in an Aaron sense. Not quite maybe as tropical, sort of lightly tropical. A little bit of banana, peach. Yeah, definitely peach. And again, sort of like I said, the oak is adding sort of like a little bit of white chocolate, a little bit of a nuttiness. That's superb. That is a lovely Bunna. Again, I think I've probably said it in the past. You know, I think Bunnahabhain, left alone in bourbon casks, is absolutely fantastic. You know, no real need to sort of like bother adding sherry into this. It's just such a lovely brand. I like it. Soft, rounded, maybe, I suppose if I'm being really picky, I'd say it's probably not quite as expressive as the nose. but it's got a lovely fleshiness to the fruit, a little bit of spice, a little bit of chocolatey wood notes, gently smoked, very long, really nice length to it. Touch of some barley, apricot. Yeah, it's nice. It's lovely. It's got a nice kind of fruit character to it. I think a little bite from the alcohol. Maybe a little bit too much, given it's I think it is 46%. It is indeed 46%. But yeah, that's really enjoyable. So like that. Right, okay, let's sum these up then. Okay, Berry Brothers range. I've tasted a few before. I mean, they've bottled some really nice whiskies. They've bottled some stinkers as well. Pretty much no different to any other independent bottling company. I know that their distributors, the Great Whisky Company, would like me to take them on, but I just don't have the space. I really don't have the shelf space, and there's, I think from with the independents who we work with, we have a really nice range. And to be honest with you, for me to sort of take on anything new, a new kind of range, then it's got to wow me. I've got to have the wow factor. And although I love the Bunnahabhain, I thought the Bunnahabhain was gorgeous. The other three, although good, they just didn't have that wow factor to them. The Little Mill was okay, pleasant, probably a little bit long in the tooth. Maybe you could argue that should have been bottled a few years earlier, because certainly you could feel the spirit was starting to sort of come away from the wood character. North of Scotland, yeah, I like that. I mean, it was nice. It was, like I said, maybe not the most complex of old grain whiskies, but it had a lovely character, lots of sort of rummy, dried fruits. Oak was very well behaved, not too overly oaked. Impressive. Liked it. The Jura, okay, it was good. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was certainly a very clean sherry cask. Whether it was worth 200 quid or not, I think I'd probably have to take issue with you over that one. But it was good. It was pleasant. But I think that of the four, I think the standout bottling for me, and I think there was a few other people as well, when we did the Twitter tasting, was definitely the Bunnahabhain. I thought that was really good. But like I said, none of them really had the wow factor. I mean, but they were good quality, and it was really enjoyable. Hopefully, berries won't be too upset with my critique of their whiskey. If I get invited to do another tasting of theirs, you'll find out one way or another, I suppose. So, anyway, I guess that pretty much wraps up this episode of the show. And like I said at the beginning, tune into the next one, and I will certainly be doing an Axis of Evil tasting. I probably won't be mentioning any names because that really would offend a few people. So it'll probably be, I won't sort of let on who the bottlers are. I will just sort of obviously just say who the distilleries. I don't mind offending the distilleries. I mean, I've said that often enough as it is. So that's the way it goes. Anyway, so all there's left to say is I hope you enjoyed this episode of the show, and if any of these ones take your fancy, I'm fairly certain they're available via the Berry Brothers website. Obviously, as I only just tasted them last Thursday, these notes are not up on my blog, but there are quite a fair few whiskies that are up on my blog, so if you want to read, have a look at that. So that brings me nicely to the end, and to say thank you for watching the show, and good dramming, good evening. As the hearts are feed the hunger. Growl! Growl!